why do we think we're better than other people? Have you ever caught yourself looking at someone and thinking, well, at least I'm not that person? Maybe it's when someone cuts you off in traffic, or when a coworker fumbles an easy task at work. Whether we say it out loud or not, those little moments of superiority sneak in. But why do we do this? Why do we constantly rank ourselves higher than the people around us, even if it's just in small, passing thoughts? Let's start with a story. Imagine you're in a group project. There's always that one person who's doing way less than everyone else, right? You're thinking, I'm practically carrying this whole project by myself. But here's the thing. They probably think they're doing the heavy lifting too. There's actually a name for this. Psychologists call it the self-serving bias. It's when we inflate our own contributions and downplay our flaws. In other words, we're the hero of our own story, and everybody else are just supporting characters. A study from the University of Toronto backs this up. They had people rate their contributions to team tasks, and surprise, surprise, almost everyone overestimated their role. It's like our brain is hardwired to give ourselves the starring role. So how else does this show up? Think about driving. A study from the University of Michigan found that 93% of people think they're better than average drivers. Let that sink in. 93% think they're above average, but obviously, that's mathematically impossible. Still, we believe it. We think we're more skilled, more cautious, just better on the road than everyone else. Meanwhile, every other car on the road is filled with people who are apparently driving like they got their license in a cereal box. And then there's the wonderful world of social media. If you've ever scrolled through Instagram and thought, I would never post that, then you know what I'm talking about. We're constantly judging others' highlight reels, while secretly thinking ours is superior. But we're not just comparing ourselves to influencers and celebrities. No, we're comparing ourselves to everyone, even that random person you haven't seen since high school. For example, suddenly their vacation photos look too perfect, and you think, yeah, but they probably went broke to pay for that trip. There's a term for this: upward social comparison. Researchers at Stanford found that when we see others succeeding, we try to mentally one-up them, making ourselves feel better by ranking higher in our own minds. But here's the catch. Social media is just a highlight reel. We're comparing our real, messy lives to someone's filtered, polished moments. And the game isn't even fair. Let's dig a little deeper. This superiority complex doesn't just stop at skills or appearances. Ever notice how most people think they're smarter than others? According to a study from the University of Edinburgh, 65% of people believe they're more intelligent than average. Again, this is impossible, but we hold on to the belief that our opinions, our logic, and our worldview are superior. It's why we get into arguments with strangers on the internet. Obviously, we are right, and they are wrong. But why are we so eager to cling to this? It's about control. Believing we're smarter or more capable gives us a sense of control in a chaotic world. It's comforting to think that if we're smarter, we'll make better decisions, and therefore have a better life. But in reality, this belief often causes us to dig in our heels, refusing to admit when we're wrong. And it's not just about intelligence, it's about morality too. Not only do we think we're smarter, basically, we walk around thinking we're more ethical, more honest, and more decent than others. Even if we've done some questionable things ourselves, it's called moral licensing. Ever do something good and then feel like you've earned a free pass to mess up later? For example, I recycled today, so it's totally fine if I yell at that guy for cutting me off. It's a mental balancing act, but the scales are always tipped in our favor. We give ourselves credit for the good deeds, and most often forget the bad ones. Now let's talk about competence, or the illusion of it. In almost every area of life, we overestimate our abilities. At work, in sports, even in hobbies, we often think we're better than we actually are. This is where the Dunning-Kruger effect comes in, a cognitive bias where people with low ability at a task overestimate their competence. So basically, the less you know, the more confident you are that you know everything. Remember that one person at work who has no idea what they're doing, but acts like they run the place? That's the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. They don't know what they don't know, and that lack of awareness gives them this strange, misplaced confidence. Meanwhile, the people who are actually competent tend to second-guess themselves. It's wild that the ones who know the least are often the loudest. And before you think, okay, but I'm definitely not like that, here's where it gets tricky. This superiority complex, it's sneaky. It slips into your life in ways you don't even notice. It's not always about arrogance. Sometimes it's subtle. Like when you're in line at a coffee shop and the person ahead of you takes forever to order. You think, I'd never be that indecisive. There it is. Another tiny moment where you've ranked yourself higher. Or when you hear someone's parenting choices and think, I'd never let my kid do that. It's these small moments that add up, making us feel superior without us even realizing it. But why does this even matter? Because believing we're better than others creates distance. It keeps us from understanding people. We judge, we assume, we dismiss. It's why we argue with strangers online and why we have trouble connecting with people who think differently. 'Cause the moment we put ourselves on a pedestal, we stop being curious. We stop learning, and in a weird way, it isolates us. In fact, research from the University of California shows that inflating our self-worth in comparison to others can actually make it harder to form close, meaningful relationships. The more we prop ourselves up, the lonelier we feel in the end. It's ironic. The very thing that makes us feel better also pushes us further from genuine connection. So, how do you stop this harming habit? First, practice empathy. Everyone has their own struggles, and no one's life is as perfect as it seems. When we start to put ourselves in other people's shoes, we can see things from their perspective and realize we're all just doing our best. Second, celebrate your strengths without needing to compare them to anyone else's. We all have unique talents, and it's fine to be proud of that. Just don't let it turn into a competition where your self-worth is based on how you measure up to others. Finally, be mindful of how your thoughts and actions impact others. By practicing kindness and humility, we can build connections instead of tearing people down. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. It's not about being better than others. It's about supporting each other on this wild ride called life. We hope this video has empowered you on your journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you later.